Hello, everyone, and welcome to the One Conscious Love Network. I'm here with Roger, and we met on Facebook, of course, because Facebook has a lot of bad things, but also has a lot of awesome people. So I'm so glad that we connected, and I'm so glad that you're giving me this time here to share who you are. So, Roger, please tell everyone who you are and how you shed your light in the world.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. And as I said to you earlier, I probably couldn't have told you who I was and how I'm sharing my light just a few days ago. And and I'm saying that because we're all in this place now of discovering who we are, remembering who we are, basically, is what's going on. And we're doing that individually, and we're attempting to do that as a planet as well. And that's why it seemed a little disruptive. And so, but who am I? I started my life doing so many different things because I was lost. The
Mm,
whole beginning of my life, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? And
yeah.
then I kind of landed at some point many years later into a career being a vocal coach, which was like surprising to me because I never thought I was going to do that. But I did it for more than 35 years and built a really big business doing vocal coaching. And then because I became successful at it, I said, let me change. Let me move now.
Let me reinvent myself.
Exactly. And well, because what happened was something else started to come through, something else started
Mhm.
to develop. And who knows which came first, the chicken or the egg, but was it because I'm doing the coaching, but or was it just my natural gift or ability because I was like understanding people in a deep level. I was understanding what their insecurities were, why they weren't connecting to themselves because I couldn't connect to myself either. So I did get it. And then I shifted. I said I've got to go into more personal development or something. And I didn't want to call it new age or something weird or woohooey, as I said. I said I don't want it to be anything like that because I don't want to be judged and people think I'm weird because I'm doing something that's so different. And I just I so I started doing automatic writing. I started the vocal coaching in
Mhm.
1988, and then in 1989, I started doing automatic writing. And so these things were happening at the same time. When I started the automatic writing, I just did it because I was lost and wanted some help. And then I'm connected to my guide to Wilhelm, which is a collective consciousness, universal consciousness. But when it first happened, it startled me. And I said, well, how am I hearing this or understanding this? And, but we all have that. And so we just decide when we're going to listen to it and believe it. And, but I kept doing it every single day. I would get up every morning and I'm writing and I'm saving the messages. I don't know why I'm doing that. At the time I'm doing it, I have no idea why I'm saving them. Most people would have thought, oh, well, this is just nonsensical stuff. Let's just put it away. And then other people started getting interested in it. And this is what we will all find about ourselves. We will have gifts and talents and things within us that we don't even see. And other people point it out to us, which is why we go to
Yes.
coaches, why we go to mentors, why we do all of those things, because it could be right in front of us, but we can't see it, you know? And that's what was going on for me. So people started reading my messages and asked me where they came from, and I go, oh, I had to tell them then. I sat down and just received this, and they asked me to start sending them to them, and that this was in I think that began that in 2008. I just made
Mhm.
a small email group on AOL because that's all I had at the time, most of us had, and so I just would send out the messages that way. Again, never thinking I was going to do anything else with them or that it was supposed to be anything. I think that's the other interesting thing too. I found that with so many of us, the things that are our gifts or talents or abilities sometimes we don't always recognize, or we may not always classify them to be that because it's coming from us. And if we're not connected to our holding this identity, our authentic selves, it's hard for us to accept something new that might be presented to us. And it's hard for our world to do the same thing. And this is what we're constantly moving through. How do we let go of what was old and accept something that was new? And I had trouble with that because I'm sitting down at this as this guy is doing automatic writing and talking to spirits or guides or the consciousness or something, and that
Mhm.
made no sense. Except what was happening is that I was healing. I was healing in physical ways. I was discovering mind body
Mhm.
connection. I was discovering so many things. And then I tell people now I'll be 75 in November. And
Wow. You don't
I,
look it.
that's and that's what I tell people. We can reverse everything. And then when people hear my story, my life story, they think that's not possible. Yeah, it is. Because I went through so many really difficult, challenging things in my life. But then when we come to understand that we're always in the process of developing our consciousness or developing our ability to find it, to see it, to look at it. That's all we have when we're in our, moving through our lives is our consciousness, our perceptions, our how we choose to perceive things, you know? And
Yeah.
so, and changing that sometimes is challenging, especially when you have a society that's set on a certain set of beliefs. And we
Mhm.
think we're supposed to fit into those. And so here I am, this guy who came up, you know, uh, doing one thing, which when I was for religious, I was a Christian Scientist. That for in itself was different because not many people did that, but that was what my family did. So I said, okay, this is we'll do this. And then later I can see that was a really valuable experience, even though I'm judging it while I'm going through it when I was younger. But now I see what I learned from that because that was the thing that set me off on an understanding of mind body connection and how we can get greater control of that as well. So,
That's beautiful. And yes, recognizing that programming, the patterns that we have, that's one of the most
mhm,
challenging things, right?
yes. And then believing it. And so I'm going to tell everybody something else because this is so, um, we learn things about our universe and our world as we all live. It does, over time, over decades, centuries, however we want to think of it. And so we're always discovering something new.
Yes.
And that's what happened to me. And it kind of frightened me at a certain point. In 2021, well, first of all, in 2020, my messages started to change a bit, or at least I noticed that they were changing, and I'm hesitating to talk about them. I'm hesitating to write them because I'm hearing pure, pure communication and but I would say I can't write this. I don't want to talk about
Mhm.
this. That's what started coming through because they started saying you're going through a restructuring. I go, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Says, well, your world is going to change. Nothing is going to be like it was before. And you're going to go through all of these changes, and it's going to seem a little chaotic, but you've got to go through that because you can't create anything new unless you are willing to look at what was old and let go of it. And so that's going to happen within you individually and your world collectively. And I go, and then they told me, see, this is your problem. You want to know where things are going. This is one of the messages they gave me. You all want to know, you fear the unknown. And so you want to know where everything is going before you would even follow through. And they were talking to me as I'm writing the information. As I'm trying to write the information, I'm trying to jump ahead of what they're trying to tell me. But what they're saying is that we're going to move through this transition, and they said that the United States would be the epicenter. We would see the most change going on because of the position that we put ourselves in. But it's a changing of the entire world. And if we understand what our individual role is, we get through it a lot easier. I go, what? Well, you each come to the earth to do something, and it's within each person. Then they said, so and there's cycles that happen. And they took me back to 2012. They said, in 2000, you said, we gave you everything you needed to know. I go, I said, that didn't make sense. They said, we gave it to you in 2012. Now I'm out on a walk when I hear this information, and I come back into my home. I go to my computer, and I'm led to a folder that's there that I hadn't seen. I hadn't paid attention to. It said Wilhelm, but I didn't know how it got there. I thought maybe an assistant did it. I didn't know what it was. And I opened it up, and there's all these messages from 2012. I go, that's
Oh,
weird. How did that happen? And I'm still not thinking about this. And I'm just talking about it to other people, and they say, Roger, don't you remember that was the year the Mayan calendar ended, and people thought the world was going to end?
right.
And I said, oh, yeah, that seems familiar. And then I go back to my messages and to see what they gave me on that date, which was December 21st. And I go and I look and it said, wait. I go, oh, that's interesting. That was the title of the message. It says, the world's not ending. You're building something new, but it's going to come through each of you as you move through each of your old your restrictions, your generational biases, your anger, your hatred, your judgments, your all of that. When you move through that, then you will have something different in your life and also in your world. I said, but it's going to be a little chaotic, so that's why we gave you guidance. Then they started telling me, okay, this is the best one, Lola. We're going to try this right now. They said, if you come across someone, we've given you a birthday, we've given you a message on their birthday in 2012. I go, that's not possible. I haven't met them. And they said, yes, it is, because there's law of attraction, there's energies, and you're all connected. Your DNA, your energies, of your genetic code is all aligned with the universe, every single person. You just figure it out at different times. And I said, that makes
Right.
no sense. I said, I'm not going to try that. So, Melly, tell me, what's your month and day of birth?
October 7th.
October 7th. Let's see what we have. And what they said is that the messages will make sense for any person who hears them because we're all as humans, we're all alike, but for the individual, it will have a little different resonance or more resonance basically. So October 7th is, oh yeah, it's just what you're doing. Okay. And this is the message. Seek to find the benefit in all that you do. Every action you take, event that occurs in your life, or circumstance that shows up for you carries two very different aspects or contrasts. You'll experience those two different things personally as pleasurable or uncomfortable for you. It matters not which particular experience you are currently having. There is always a benefit to be found. When you seek to see it, you will create a life experience that is much more fun, and you build a type of momentum that urges you on to do more. It is not difficult to see this process in action. All you need do is observe others around you and will and you will see the contrast. That was your message that came through on your birthday in 2012.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Did that make sense to you?
1000%.
In the beginning, and I want everyone to kind of understand this, we don't know certain things, and we have to be willing to suspend our disbelief of what is possible for us. Like when I first heard that, when they told me that this would happen, I said, that doesn't make sense. And I was reluctant to even try it. And I said, I couldn't tell people because they're going to think I'm out of my mind. But then I started doing it because I got a little brave. and then, and then every time it was accurate and people would freak out. They go, how did you do that? I said, I didn't do anything. I don't know. It just, it's just what happened. And I go, is this something like the I Ching or is this the Akashic record? What is this? And it said, no, they're just showing us something different. And obviously, I had developed this ability to access this information and it didn't, and they said, but they want all of us to know that there's organization in our world, that we are connected to the energies of the planet and the planets change and move, and then we react to that mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever, spiritually, whatever it is. And so it becomes our job to find our place in there, to find our balance within ourselves, and that's what's going. So they said, "Oh, that was the best one." They said, and the things that they were bringing up is that they gave us a new philosophy. I go, why would we need a new philosophy? And they said, because you haven't addressed certain things in your society. And so this is why you keep having the same difficulties over and over again. You
Mhm.
haven't addressed racism and misogyny. These are the things that have held you back. How can you have all humans who are going to produce great results in your world if you're making some of them less than the others? I go,
Mm.
oh, that makes sense. And they said, and you think that it's only about certain people, but it affects all of you. You can't imagine being more than what you have seen. Meaning that if you haven't seen someone else doing what you're doing, you probably think you can't do it. And that's the difficulty that we all have. And so that's why they said with me to bring about all of this work, and I had been writing it for 36 years, and then it comes out to be this organized
Mm.
philosophy of, I go, how's that possible? And they said, yeah. They said every single person, they want every person to know that they have something that they came to bring to this world, and this was meant to be a confirmation. When I would meet someone and read their birthday message, it was supposed to be a confirmation of what you're doing, that yes, you're making a huge contribution.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's such a beautiful path that you found for yourself, and then sharing it with others. It just has so much more of a greater impact that way.
Yes, and I will tell you, it's the most difficult thing I've done. And I'm just saying this for every single person because we all do the same thing. We don't always own ourselves, no matter what. We're going to grow, we're going to change, something's going to become different in our lives. And when we don't go with that, that's when we have the difficulties. And I was being used as the guinea pig because I wouldn't go with it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't own this. And I just kept holding back. And then I would kind of just mess up my life because no, this can't be happening. I don't really have this. This is what we do. But again, this particular period on Earth that we're all in right now
Mm.
is about moving up beyond those limitations that we hold about ourselves and what we could accomplish and what our world could accomplish as well.
Mm. That's so beautiful and inspiring. I love that you're able to receive and share that message because it's so much needed
Yes.
and beautiful. Yes.
And that's why I had to become uncomfortable. They told me this too. They said, you will have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so, and that's what we're all meant to do because the uncomfortable thing is change. And we can't create anything new in our lives or in the world unless we become willing to change. But then they said, this was the funniest thing, Melanie, when I'm sitting there reading this one message that they gave me, and I think this was in 2020 that this one came through, and I'm looking at it, and they're saying, given that you each hold the fear of the unknown to varying degrees. That's what they say. You all hold it. And then when you put a whole bunch of people together who have that fear of the
Mm.
unknown, you can see what might happen, how explosive that could be. Because you're trying to find yourselves and you don't want to go into this new place that you're becoming. And so then you will try to do that. And then they said, this is what you'll see in society because we think that we'll feel things happening within us, but we're a reflection of society, and our outside experience is a reflection of what we're holding. And so we'll look at our leaders and think they're supposed to fix everything and say,
Yeah.
wait a minute, we're here too. Maybe we're supposed to be important in some way. And that's what this period was meant for us to come to understand. They said there's been an imbalance in your world where not enough people knew who they were. Oh, that was the other thing. They wanted me to start channeling. I never did live channeling before 2021. I I mean, I did some on my own, and I was writing for years. But live channeling, I go, that's a bridge too far. I can't do that. People have to look at me. I'll have to show up. And and then I started, and it was crazy because more information started to come through. And then I started to notice that I don't remember it. I will make a pure connection, and And it's shocking to me when I go back and I hear older sessions and the information that I hear is stuff that's happening currently or what I might be experiencing or we're experiencing in the world. And I go, that's just shocking. And they said, well, that's the life that I picked. I couldn't have a memory of this. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been real. And so I had to live all of these years not knowing what was going on. And it's only been recently that they started showing me that all the messages I received were energetically aligned to changes in our world and events
Mhm.
that might be happening because we are not having accidental events or random events or occurrences. It's just energy that's moving around. We're all directing it in certain ways within ourselves and then collectively. And we're still in the process of as humans, as a human race, we're still in the process of coming to understand all of that. And what they were showing me was that there's cycles. So they had me go back, and I kept I on my where I put my writings, any advice for today, people will see this. I have several days. I started doing it for months actually, where they would have me go back to 2008 and then put all
Mhm.
the message that I received on that one day, that date, through all those years. And I go, why am I doing that? then and then I do it. And then I put in the artificial intelligence and they would analyze it and it said it tells a story. It's a
Mhm.
progression. Every year had more information that built upon the year before. I,
Mhm.
I said, and I'm not thinking about that when I'm receiving this. And they said, but that's the point. We want everyone to understand that's how they are receiving information and wisdom and storing it within them. And then at some point, you just got to recognize it and start to own it, which is what we're doing.
That's so beautiful, Roger. I'm so glad that you're here sharing your message, and I hope that everyone that's watching will reach out to you and discover their path
Yes,
and their awakening through your help. So
yes.
that is really beautiful work. I
And
always
that's the
ask
thing I want
this.
them to know right now. Everybody's finding it right now. So,
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. And the la last question I have is I ask everyone this question is, what is one conscious love to you? What comes to mind?
and this is the other thing too. And I heard this. I'm so glad you asked that because I heard it in the channeling session. Like I said, I go back and I listen again. And they said, well, that's what you're all moving to. You're moving to this remembrance that you're all the same, that you're all coming from the same source, that you're all humans, and you've just gone through centuries of separation where you thought you were different, where you thought you were different than everyone else. All humans are born with the same abilities, talents, and right to be in the world. And so, but what we do is we struggle through that in our own lives and also in our society. And so we're at another place where we're trying to come to greater acceptance of ourselves so we can have our society accomplish the same thing.
So beautiful, Roger. We're going to put all your links in the comments so people can easily find you and visit your
Great.
website and connect with you. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I know you'll be back. I know you
Yes,
will.
yes.
There'll be so
Thank
many
you.
more opportunities for you to be in the One Conscious Love Network again. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you soon.